Welcome to the Retirement Wealth Podcast. We're so glad you're joining us today.
Absolutely. It's great to have you here. Today, we're diving into a really important topic: how to create lifetime income streams for your retirement.
Yeah, that's such a crucial aspect of planning, right? Many people think about accumulating wealth, but, it's really about how to make that money last once you retire.
Exactly. It's not just about having a nest egg. It's about ensuring that you have a consistent income throughout your retirement years.
We'll be discussing various strategies like Social Security, pensions, and even investment income to help you understand how to secure that financial stability.
And let's not forget about the importance of creating a diversified approach. Mixing different income sources can really help mitigate risks.
Right. Plus, we'll touch on some common pitfalls to avoid, so you don't find yourself caught off guard.
That's key. Planning is everything. It's all about being proactive rather than reactive when it comes to your financial future.
So whether you're years away from retirement or already enjoying it, there's something in this episode for everyone.
Let's get started and explore how you can create those vital income streams that will support your dream retirement.
Sounds great. So let's jump right in.
Emily, the importance of creating lifetime income streams really can't be overstated, especially given the economic climate we're navigating right now. People are thinking about their retirement timelines more than ever, and with inflation creeping up, it's a real concern for many.
Absolutely. Just look at the prices at the grocery store or the gas pump. A lot of folks are feeling that pinch, right? And when you're planning for retirement, you want to ensure that your money lasts as long as you do, which is a tall order when the cost of living keeps rising.
Exactly. I spoke with a client recently. Let's call her Linda. She's in her early 60s and is planning to retire in just a couple of years. She had always thought she'd be able to rely on her savings and Social Security, but with inflation projections, she's realized that those fixed incomes might not stretch as far as she thought.
That's so true. And many people don't consider the impact of inflation on their retirement savings until it's almost too late. It's like if you're planning to live off a certain amount every month and suddenly that amount buys less, what do you do?
Right, and that's where the concept of lifetime income streams comes into play. It's not just about having a chunk of money saved up. It's about creating a strategy that allows you to generate income throughout your retirement. Think about it. If you can create multiple streams of income, you're not solely relying on one source, which can be risky.
So what are some examples of these income streams? I know Social Security is often the first thing people think of, but there's so much more, isn't there?
Definitely. Social Security is a key component, but it can also be a bit unpredictable. For instance, recent discussions around Social Security changes have many worried about future benefits. It's crucial to have additional sources, like annuities, rental income, or even part-time work if that's viable for you.
Yeah, I've seen people who rent out a room or even invest in rental properties to create that cash flow. It can provide a nice buffer, but it also comes with its own challenges, like maintenance and market fluctuations.
Exactly, and that's why diversification in income sources is so important. I had another client, let's call him Mark. He invested in dividend-paying stocks, which have provided steady income. But he also has an annuity that kicks in at a certain age. When the market was volatile last year, he felt reassured knowing he had that guaranteed income coming in.
That's a smart move, especially with how unpredictable the markets can be. Speaking of volatility, it's also about tax efficiency. People often overlook how taxes can eat into their retirement income.
You're spot on. And with potential tax law changes on the horizon, it's important to strategize now. For example, if you have a traditional IRA, those withdrawals are taxed as income. But if you have a Roth IRA, you can withdraw tax-free in retirement. Planning around these differences can make a significant impact on your cash flow.
Right, and healthcare costs are another big factor that retirees need to consider. They can add up quickly. With the rising cost of healthcare, it's essential to have a plan that addresses those expenses.
Absolutely. I had a couple come in recently, let's call them Tom and Susan. They thought they had their retirement all figured out until they faced some unexpected medical expenses. They hadn't factored in long-term care insurance or the costs of prescription medications, and ended up having to adjust their budget significantly.
That sounds stressful. It really emphasizes the need for a comprehensive retirement plan. It's not just about having money saved. It's about being prepared for the unexpected as well.
Exactly. And let's not forget the emotional side of financial security and retirement. A lot of people underestimate how much peace of mind comes from knowing your income is secure. I've seen clients who, once they establish those income streams, they just relax. They're able to enjoy their retirement without the constant worry about money.
That's a huge benefit. It's not just about the numbers. It's about quality of life. When individuals feel secure financially, they can focus on spending time with family, traveling, or even picking up new hobbies.
Yes, and that's what it's all about, right? Building a legacy for future generations can also be a motivator. If you can create a financial foundation that not only supports you, but also leaves something for your children or grandchildren, it adds another layer of fulfillment.
I love that perspective. It really puts the focus on the broader picture. So, with all these factors in play, retirement timelines, inflation, market volatility, taxes, healthcare, how do people start creating these income streams?
That's a great question, and it's essential to have a solid strategy in place. We can dive into some core strategies next. So, Emily, when we think about creating lifetime income streams, one of the first things that comes to mind is how to effectively use our investment portfolio, right?
Absolutely. And it's such a key part of retirement planning. I know we often talk about the 4% rule, which suggests that if you withdraw about 4% of your retirement savings each year, you should be able to sustain that income for about 30 years. But, how do you determine if that's right for you?
Great question. The 4% rule is a good starting point, but it really depends on your unique situation. Factors like your retirement age, your life expectancy, and your spending needs can all influence whether that rule holds. For instance, if you retire early or expect to live longer than average, you might want to consider a lower withdrawal rate, maybe closer to 3.5% or even 3%.
That makes sense. And, of course, market conditions play a role too, right?
Exactly. If the market takes a downturn, withdrawing 4% could put a strain on your portfolio. That's where diversifying your investments really comes into play.
Diversification. Like having a mix of stocks and bonds?
Yes. A common rule of thumb is the 70-30 portfolio. 70% in stocks and 30% in bonds. Stocks typically offer growth potential, while bonds can provide more stability. But, as you get closer to retirement, you might want to shift that balance a bit to protect your assets.
Right, so maybe something like a 60-40 or even a 50-50 mix as you age.
Exactly. And speaking of protecting assets, let's not forget about tax-advantaged accounts. Utilizing things like a 401k, IRA, or Roth IRA can really help with tax savings, right?
For sure. With a traditional 401k or IRA, you're deferring taxes until you withdraw funds, which can be a huge advantage if you're in a lower tax bracket in retirement. But then with a Roth, you pay taxes up front, and your withdrawals in retirement are tax-free.
That's right. It can be beneficial to have both types of accounts. This way, you can choose where to withdraw from based on your tax situation in any given year.
And I think a lot of people forget about real estate as a potential income stream.
Absolutely. If you own property, whether it's your home or rental properties, it can provide rental income, or if needed, you can tap into equity through a reverse mortgage. Just keep in mind the responsibilities that come with property management.
Yeah, property can be a bit of a mixed bag, right? But it can also be a solid long-term investment.
For sure. And then there are annuities. They can provide guaranteed income for life, which is pretty appealing for retirees, but they come with their own set of considerations.
Like fees and surrender charges, right?
Exactly. You want to read the fine print, so to speak. Some annuities can be complex, so it's crucial to understand how they work and if they fit your needs.
And what about Social Security? I know that's a big piece of the puzzle, too.
Definitely. Timing your Social Security benefits can significantly impact your lifetime income. If you claim early, at age 62, your benefits are reduced. But if you wait until age 70, you could get, an increase of up to 8% for each year you delay.
Wow, that's a big difference.
It really is. So it can be a strategic decision to delay claiming, especially if you expect to live longer and need that higher income later.
Right. And I guess that ties back into the whole withdrawal strategy as well.
Yes, it's all interconnected. If you can delay Social Security, you may be able to withdraw a bit more from your investment accounts early on, allowing your portfolio to grow longer.
So it's like a balancing act, isn't it?
Exactly. And that's why having a solid withdrawal strategy is so important. You mentioned the bucket strategy earlier. It's a great way to approach this.
Yeah, tell me more about that.
So the bucket strategy divides your retirement savings into different buckets based on when you'll need the funds. For example, you might have a short-term bucket for expenses in the first few years, funded by cash or short-term bonds. Then, a middle bucket for the next 5 to 10 years, perhaps invested in conservative stocks or bonds. Finally, a long-term bucket that's more aggressive, invested in growth stocks for those later years.
I love that. It helps to ensure you're not forced to sell investments during a downturn if you have a plan in place.
Exactly. And it also allows you to adjust your withdrawals based on market conditions and your personal needs.
Speaking of adjustments, how often should someone revisit their retirement plan?
Ideally, at least annually. Life changes, market shifts, all of these factors can affect your strategy. So a regular check-in can help you stay on track.
And it's also a good time to reassess your risk tolerance.
Yes, that's a key component. As you age, your risk tolerance might change, and it's important to align your portfolio accordingly.
With all these strategies in mind, what are some common pitfalls people should watch out for?
Well, one of the biggest pitfalls is underestimating expenses in retirement. Many people think they'll spend less, but healthcare costs, taxes, and lifestyle choices can add up quickly.
That's a crucial point. It's easy to overlook those details.
Right, and then there's the risk of being too conservative with investments. Some retirees feel they should just stick to cash and bonds, but that can lead to not keeping pace with inflation.
So staying informed and flexible is key?
Exactly. You have to be proactive about your retirement planning. It's a journey, not a destination.
I love that perspective. It really empowers listeners to take control of their financial future.
Absolutely. And we've covered a lot today, but there's always more to explore as we navigate this complex landscape of retirement planning.
Yes, and I think our listeners will appreciate all these insights.
I hope so. Let's transition into those common pitfalls, shall we? So, Emily, let's dive into some of these common pitfalls that we see people run into when planning for retirement.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest ones is the sequence of returns risk. A lot of folks don't realize how much that can impact their retirement savings, right?
Exactly. Imagine someone who retires just before a market downturn. They start withdrawing from their investments while the market is down, and that can really erode their portfolio faster than they expected.
Right. I read about a couple in their early 60s who retired in 2007. They were enjoying life, but then the market crashed in 2008. Their withdrawals, combined with the losses, really hurt their long-term plans.
That's a perfect example. They were faced with a double whammy, withdrawals during a downturn and then having to adjust their lifestyle as a result. It's tough because they didn't foresee that risk.
So the key takeaway there is having a strategy for market fluctuations. Maybe keeping a cash reserve for the first few years of retirement can help mitigate that risk.
Absolutely. And another common mistake is ignoring taxes when it comes to withdrawals. People often think about their gross income, but forget how much of that will actually be taxed.
Right, like those who have, say, a traditional IRA, they might not realize that every dollar they take out is going to be taxed as ordinary income.
Yes, and that can push them into a higher tax bracket. I had a client, let's call him Tom. He was withdrawing from his IRA without factoring in the tax implications. He ended up paying a lot more than he anticipated, which affected his cash flow.
Wow, that's frustrating. So it's important to have a tax-efficient withdrawal strategy in place.
Exactly. And then there's the issue of underestimating healthcare costs. As people age, their health needs change, and medical expenses can become a significant portion of their budget.
Oh, for sure. I remember hearing about a couple, let's say their names are Jim and Linda. They thought their Medicare coverage would cover all their needs. But then they faced some unexpected medical expenses that weren't covered.
Yes, and those costs can add up quickly. They could have benefited from considering long-term care insurance or simply budgeting more for healthcare in their retirement plan.
Definitely. And then there's the longevity factor. People are living longer these days, and many don't plan for a retirement that could last 30 years or more.
That's a crucial point. I had a client in her 70s who thought she'd be fine with her savings, but then she realized she'd need to stretch her resources much further than she anticipated.
So it's important to factor in longevity when making those plans.
Yes, and asset allocation is another area where people can trip up. Some retirees are overly conservative, keeping too much in cash or low-yield investments, which can hurt their growth potential over time.
Right. A balanced portfolio is key. I know a couple who became super risk-averse after the 2008 crash. They moved everything into cash. They missed out on significant market recovery that followed.
That's a classic mistake. It's vital to have a diversified portfolio that aligns with their risk tolerance and goals, even in retirement.
And what about claiming Social Security too early? That's another common misstep, isn't it?
Absolutely. Some folks claim as soon as they can at age 62, thinking they need the income right away, but that can reduce their benefits significantly in the long run.
Exactly. I had a client. Let's call her Susan. She claimed early and later realized that if she'd waited just a few more years, her monthly benefit would be much higher.
It's all about weighing the options carefully and having a plan that considers their overall financial picture and other income sources is crucial.
So how can someone spot these red flags early on in their planning?
A good starting point is to review their financial situation regularly. Are they sticking to their withdrawal strategy? Are they adjusting for taxes?
And engaging with a financial advisor can help keep those blind spots in check, right?
Absolutely. An advisor can provide valuable insights and help with strategies for asset allocation, tax planning, and more.
It really is about proactive planning and not waiting for something to go wrong before addressing these issues.
Exactly. So if you're listening and you're unsure about your own retirement plan, now's a great time to take a step back and evaluate your current situation.
Yeah, and make sure you have a strategy that accounts for market fluctuations, taxes, healthcare costs, and your longevity.
And remember, it's never too late to adjust your plan. Even small changes can have a significant impact over time.
Right. So what would be the next steps for someone who might be feeling a bit overwhelmed by all of this?
Well, first, I'd recommend sitting down and taking a comprehensive look at your financial picture. Write down your income sources, expenses, and any potential gaps you see.
And maybe consider reaching out to a financial planner for personalized advice on how to navigate these potential pitfalls.
Absolutely. They can help you build a retirement strategy tailored to your specific needs and goals.
It's all about taking control and making informed decisions.
Exactly, and that's empowering. Remember, planning for retirement doesn't have to be daunting. It can be a rewarding process.
Well said. And with the right knowledge and support, you can create a retirement that feels secure and fulfilling.
Yes, so take those proactive steps, and don't hesitate to ask for help when you need it.
All right, let's transition to how to recover from these pitfalls, or, better yet, avoid them altogether.
All right, let's dive into some immediate steps and tools that you can use right now to create those lifetime income streams.
Yes, absolutely. It's so important to start taking action, right?
Exactly. One of the first things I recommend is to check out retirement calculators. Websites like Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab have really user-friendly tools that can help you estimate how much you'll need in retirement and what your income streams might look like.
Oh, that's a great point. A calculator can really put things into perspective. It's one thing to think about numbers in your head, but seeing them laid out, it can be a game changer.
For sure. And don't forget about the Social Security Administration's website, ssa.gov. They have a ton of resources, including a calculator to estimate your benefits based on your earnings history.
That's such a useful tool. I know a lot of people underestimate their Social Security benefits, but they can be a significant part of your retirement income.
Right, and it's crucial to understand when to start taking those benefits too. A little planning can go a long way.
So once folks have that info from the calculators, what's next?
Well, I'd suggest running some retirement projections. You can use the same platforms or even financial planning apps like Personal Capital or Mint. These can help you track your investments and expenses over time, giving you a clearer picture of your financial health.
Those apps are so handy, and they make it easy to see where your money is going, which is essential for budgeting in retirement.
Exactly. Speaking of budgeting, I recommend reviewing your portfolio quarterly. It doesn't have to be a massive overhaul every time. Just check if your investments are aligned with your retirement goals.
That's a manageable habit. Just a few minutes every few months can lead to significant improvements in your plan.
Absolutely. And if you're feeling a bit lost, consider reading some books or listening to podcasts specifically about retirement planning. Titles like The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins are popular and provide solid advice.
That's a classic! And there are some great podcasts out there too. The Retirement Answer Man is one I've heard good things about. It offers practical tips in a friendly format.
Great suggestion. And I think it's also important to look into tax software. Understanding your tax situation can have a big impact on your retirement income.
Oh, definitely. It's all about maximizing what you keep after taxes.
Right. And many of those tax software programs can help you plan ahead and find deductions that might apply specifically to retirees.
So it sounds like there's a wealth of resources available. But for someone who might feel overwhelmed, where should they start?
A good first step could be to create a simple checklist of these tools and resources. Like jotting down the websites of the calculators, books to read, and apps to explore.
That's a straightforward approach, and it gives people something tangible to work from.
Exactly. And remember, it's never too late to improve your plan. Even small changes can have a big impact over time.
Right. So if someone is just starting out or feels like they've let things slide a bit, they can still make strides.
Yes. And I'd also suggest setting aside some time each month to review your progress. Maybe even schedule a recurring appointment with yourself.
That's a nice idea. It can create that accountability, plus it makes it feel more official.
Definitely. And if you're really feeling unsure, don't hesitate to reach out to a financial advisor. A professional can help tailor a plan that works for your individual situation.
That's a great reminder. Having guidance can really help clarify things.
So with these tools in your pocket, you're ready to strengthen your retirement plan. Let's recap what we've covered today. Well, as we wrap up, let's quickly recap some of the key points we discussed about creating those lifetime income streams.
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, we talked about the importance of having a diversified income strategy, right? It's not just about relying on one source.
Exactly. A mix of Social Security, pensions, and personal savings can really help cushion you against unexpected expenses.
And then we highlighted the role of annuities, which can provide that guaranteed income, especially for those who want peace of mind.
Right. And remember, it's crucial to evaluate the different types of annuities available, as they can vary quite a bit in terms of their benefits and costs.
Also, we touched on the significance of understanding your spending habits. Knowing what you need versus what you want can really help in planning those income streams.
And let's not forget the idea of adjusting your strategy as you age. Your needs and lifestyle may change, and being flexible can make a huge difference.
Exactly. Building and protecting your retirement wealth isn't just a one-time thing. It's an ongoing journey, and being proactive is key.
Well said. So, if you found value in today's discussion, we'd love for you to like, subscribe, and comment below with your biggest takeaway or any questions you might have.
And don't forget to share this episode with someone who's planning for retirement or is already in it. You never know who might benefit from this information.
Next time, we'll be diving into a really important topic: how to manage market volatility in retirement.
Yes! That's going to be such a relevant discussion, especially with everything happening in the markets these days.
It sure will. So make sure to tune in for that.
Thanks for joining us today, everyone.
Take care, and we'll see you next time.